It is estimated that 80% of new businesses fails, and we believe that the story of starting a business in Africa is a unique one that inspires, educates, and empowers. So I'm going ghost to ghost to talk to entrepreneurs all over Africa who beat their hearts, took advantage of technology to start their successful businesses from the ground up. Follow me on this journey. This is African Startup TV. Growing up, an average Nigerian girl child had a white baby doll. But when Taofic wanted to get her niece something special for her birthday, he thought that a black doll would make more sense. The idea, which he kept with himself for a few months, was forced to fruition when his daughter told him she wished she was a white girl. At that point, he knew there was an identity crisis going on with most children of African descent, since they only get to see white children in their cartoon animations and are used to playing with white baby dolls. When African Startup TV met up with Taofic Okoya, he said that when he started Queens of African Dolls, he had more than producing black skin toys in mind. The founder of Africa's Native Doll, who is outselling Barbie dolls in Nigeria, said that they are instilling positivity in black children through toys.
It's a two-tier sort of experience that brought about the Queens of Africa.
Okay.
The first was I'd gone into a store to get a gift for my niece, and I think she was going from 7 to 8 or so.
Okay.
I wanted to buy her something that would be instrumental, that would help with her development, because at that level is when children begin to express and explore themselves, or even discover their own characters. But when I looked on the shelf and I was thinking that, well, they're mostly dolls, they're all white. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to buy a doll, maybe I should buy a doll that would be able to teach her, or, let her experience, something positive.
Okay.
But, so after looking around, I thought, the idea now came to me at that point that, maybe even if I had, an African doll, that would probably, help to, inspire her. So, but I had that idea then. By the time I left the store, I'd already forgotten about it and everything. But some few months later, which is now the second part of when I really started doing something about it, was when I was at home with my daughter. At that point in time, she was around 3 years old. And we're watching TV, just, I think it was a weekend. And she asked me, what color am I? Just out of the blue. And I'm thinking, okay, because you know how children are nowadays. They're more, they're so intelligent and they're very conscious. And I knew that it wasn't a wasn't a matter of the fact that she didn't know what color she is. But, there must be something that, had prompted her to ask that question. I realized at that point in time that was a bit of an identity crisis that she might have had. I tried my best to answer the question, to try and encourage her. And she was like, well, she wished she was white. And I'm thinking, wow, how could that have, where did that come from and everything? So after that, I started paying attention to try and understand why that came about. And I realized that all her dolls that I bought her were white. When we were watching TV, all the programs that were on TV were all white-based, and that can begin to let her begin to see herself as the, characters around, either in her dolls or on TV, and she's looking in the mirror and she's not seeing a reflection of herself. So I decided that, it'll be great I had this idea before. I didn't see it on the shelf. It'll be a great, opportunity to introduce it into the market, and that's how I started.
What year was this?
I conceived the concept in 2006. We launched in 2007.
Wow, you guys have been around.
Yes, we have been. And you see, unfortunately, by the time it took about a year for research and development and getting the products actually done, I was rather quite excited by the time we finished, and I was like thinking, yes, I'm going to gain like that acceptance and everything. It wasn't meant to be my main business. It was just meant to be something on the side. But there was a great resistance,
Wow.
from the stores, when we took it to the stores, they were like, no, we want white dolls. Dolls sell better? Because I think people were not used to the idea of seeing or having black dolls, or the importance of having black dolls. And even my daughter, even at a point in time, preferred the white dolls still to the black dolls, even though, yes, her father makes them. But I spent almost 2 years, over 2 years, trying to enlighten and educate people about the importance of having black dolls, the psychological impact of, the toys you give to your children, how it begins to form them, how it can have an impact on them, because all these things are subliminal. You don't realize it, but the impact is internal and it's long lasting.
So how did the production thing come about? Did you have aircraft production knowledge? Have you ever been into production before for you to be able to come up with all of these toys and stuff? So
interestingly enough, I do have production background. I worked in the family business for over almost 12 years.
Okay. What were you guys doing?
That's Eleganza Industries Limited. And we were into like a whole lot of various household items, some coolers, cosmetics, pens, and so on. And we worked majorly with plastic, so I was very knowledgeable in terms of the production processes. I did this, I could do it even in my sleep.
Wow.
When you do something for over 10 years, so I do have a great knowledge of production.
Okay, so how did you start your marketing?
For the marketing, it was more, like I said, where I looked at it that it's not just, I realized I was selling more than just a toy. I realized I was not selling the actual doll itself, but I was selling the concept of the dolls, and that was out of necessity. When I realized the impact and the fact that, the resistance I got, I didn't understand it. I'm like, how can you not be able to sell black dolls to black people? Do you understand? It was a bit of, so I realized there was a need for that cultural change. There was a need for that cultural enlightenment. There was a need for, instilling positivity, and seeing this thing beyond what it is. So in other words, my marketing was really, what I was marketing was really the concept, not the doll itself. Yeah.
So you guys are overselling Barbie dolls now. Before
in Nigeria, yes.
In Nigeria, nobody wanted to buy it before. The stores didn't even want to get it into their shelf. Nobody buys it, and now you guys are out selling the Barbie dolls.
Yes.
So what gave you that break? At what point did that happen? What do you think you did right?
I believe consistency is, because most times you have a vision, you position yourself in a place to fulfill that vision, and which was what I did. And then there was consistency. While when I first started, you had everybody that had their concept, their ideas, how they think they know better of how you can do and achieve these things. But you see, it's a process. I'm addressing an issue that's longer standing as subliminal. It's not going to happen overnight. The Barbie dolls or any other white dolls that are out there were created to fulfill a certain segment of market in their own area. So when they created the dolls, they created the dolls in the likeness of their people within their own geographical location. In our own geographical location, I'm having to create that to fulfill or to represent where I'm from. So clearly I think that would open people's mind. Once people's mind was open to the whole idea and concept, it became a bit more sellable.
Wow. Okay.
The break came when there was I got recognized by international press. And and with that, you know how it is where the
Nigerian until
Nigeria.
It's funny like that actually in Nigeria. It's until an international press start hyping our own product.
Yes.
We don't take it serious.
We don't,
and it's really funny.
It is.
That like, why should we be waiting for some international press to tell us what to do?
Yes. So I think by the time we had that international recognition, then it's also further, help and strengthen what we're doing here. Yes.
But that consistency was tough because since 2007 and
Oh, yes.
So how many countries are you guys now? I see you guys doing activities for some things in New York and some other places.
We are we're in the States.
Okay.
I would say majorly North America.
Okay.
We are in the UK.
Okay.
We just appointed a distributor representative in France, in Sweden, in Senegal. We're in talks with South Africa and Kenya, Brazil.
This actually looks Kenyan. This looks purely Kenyan.
Brazil is really hot on our tail, but because of logistical issues, we're trying to get round to getting the dolls there at the best possible price, and get into like mainline stores, so it's readily available. Wow. So we're growing in terms of our, reach and our
and
base.
You're buying. And do you have statistics of people that buy? Do white kids buy black dolls?
Interestingly enough, that's one of the things I'm really happy about, because there was a lady in Australia that bought 2 for her daughter, and they're pure, Caucasians, they're white, and it's like this. What if black people have bought white dolls? Why can't white people buy black dolls?
They need to start buying.
And it's we have to also understand that African culture is vibrant in terms of color. It's rich in culture, and there's that educational part of it. So you own it, not because it just looks like you. Even if it doesn't look like you can own it and learn from that. On all the packs at the back, we have a write-up, educational write-up about Africa, the things that are worthy of celebrating. So you pick it up, you read all these things about Africa. There's a breakdown of the meaning of the names. So you get it, and you automatically immediately get educated about Africa.
Exactly. I really like it though. I've never come across it until the international press. But thank God for the international press, because they are really nice.
Thank you.
And we've been used to the white dolls and every stuff. So I think it's really nice that someone is doing something that looks like me now. So we've talked about the reception. So you've been on it for 7 years. What are the challenges that this kind of business is facing?
Most of the challenges vary from different areas and segments, but we've been able to overcome them gradually. But then again, there's still quite a number of challenges ahead of us. Part of the ones that we have managed to conquer is the one of acceptance. Because when you're trying to sell and get people to accept your product, then nobody knew who or what Queens of Africa was all about and everything. But then we've now become an authority in our own self. It's the challenge of distribution. Thank God for certain establishments that are chains of supermarkets, departmental stores that are opened in Nigeria. So they have branches around Nigeria, because if a store gives you an order, you can deliver to like 2 or 3 other states, in Nigeria. And you have stores that have branches, maybe in Surulere, Ikoyi, VI, and so on. So they place an order, you are in all those stores at once. Before then, I've had to deal with individuals that own one store here, own that store there, and they're not principled in terms of payment patterns. We ended up having people owing us, and then they wanted the goods on credit. Meanwhile, their store is full of products from abroad that they paid cash for. And they are stocking. So there's not sometimes you don't get encouraged as a local manufacturer or as a local business when you're dealing with people here. But that challenge is going to be sort of taken care of with the introduction of all these other, multi-stores that are opening. One of the other challenges that we've had is export. Having to export from Nigeria, ends up being a bit more expensive, when you're looking at West Africa, you have to probably consider air or road. Air is extremely expensive. It's sometimes cheaper to send goods abroad than to send to neighboring, West African countries. When you do by road, it's almost, it's not well documented in such a way that you can say, okay, you have everything is fully recorded or documented, or the benefits that you're supposed to enjoy from dealing with countries within the West African region. The buying in of maybe the government or corporate organizations. There's still institutions that would rather say, oh, we're going to partner with Dora, it promotes the
White
Spanish speaking area. You have people bringing in likes of Barney and things like that in Nigeria. Yes, these are brands that are well known, but then again, they didn't get there in one day. So if there's a buy-in also from corporate organizations here, then it begins to make more sense. Because like I said, we're not just selling the dolls, we're selling the concept. Part of the concept that we have is under the Queens of Africa umbrella is to promote the reading culture, which is part, and in which also in the bigger picture is education. So education amongst African Nigerian children. Let's start from within our immediate environment. The way we've tried to have programs where we also have like events where we bring children together. Yes, they're playing, but under that there's a lining factor that is meant to be positive. So there's so many things that we do that we should be able to get buy-in from even immediate organizations locally. So things like that are part of the things that we're working on.
Wow. So what's the next step?
Well, the next step is still conquering the world as it is. I mean, if you had not heard about it till recently, that means our work is we still have a whole lot to do. What we're doing at the moment is still working greatly on our acceptance, generally amongst people. Queens of Africa is not just, it started off with a focus on Nigeria, but now it's fast going into not just Nigeria, not just Africa, but the world. And when I say the world, with the advent of travel, social media, the world has become such a small place. And you have people of African descent all over the world. And there's always that racial issue, cultural issue, and so many other things that are there. But from a tender age, if we have an item or a product that promotes this, in the life or amongst children of African descent, I think it's it's a great empowerment. In order for the people that So first, we're still working on the acceptance of the concept. Once we have now become a full authority internationally, we plan to begin to work on different issues that would further promote and positivity amongst children of African descent all over the world.
Wow. Thank you so much for bringing this up. Thank you for pushing all these years until we get to know about it. And I'm very sure, when I visited your Facebook page, I saw a lot of passionate comments from people, Nigerian, oh, my daughter is going to get this. So I think that acceptance thing is coming especially now with social media, people trying to say, oh, I'm black and I'm proud to be it.
Thank you.
I hope you guys. So I see these ones here and they have names or
yes, we have
Nigerian names.
Yes, we have the Ineka. It's Queens of Africa, so we're still going to do the other African series. We're still going to have the Kenyan one. We're still going to have the South African Queens of Africa. We're going to have the Somalian Queen of Africa. Ghanaian Queens of Africa. So it's not Queens of Nigeria.
Yeah.
It's Queens of Africa. So we have Africa on our mind.
Wow.
And if you like from the history at the back, we spoke about, so many positive things about, Africa. You can see that we wrote about, working on this project has also been very educative for me, we have over 3,000 distinct ethnic groups. We have about 2,000 languages. The highest mountain is in Africa. And all these are things that, I think should be general knowledge to an African, and which is why we've put it there. So as you pick this, and there's a booklet inside also that talks about, the attribute and benefit. Yes.
Wow. Educative and entertaining. I think this is Igbo.
Yeah, and I always say, we went for an exhibition of trade fair last week.
Yeah.
And from the people that came to the stand, I found the Igbo people wanted to buy Ineka, the Yoruba people wanted to buy Wawala.
No, I want to buy Ineka.
But I'm telling them that that's not the way it should be. Let the Yoruba person buy the Igbo, don't let buy the Hausa one, which is so it should not be that because I'm Igbo, I buy the Igbo one, I'm Yoruba, buy the Yoruba one.
First. This is Wawala. Okay, this is Yoruba. Our in-laws. So she's cute.
The Aziza.
The Hausa is
yes, she's darker.
I like her hair.
Yes, so we have different hair. These ones with straight hair, they're the ones that are going to be braided,
And the gele, oh my God.
Yes, we try to do as close as possible to the real thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is really nice.
Wow. We do styles like this in order to encourage the children, because sometimes when we do the full boba, there are people that want the full thing, but some other people want the funkinized one.
Like
so
this one is full?
Yeah, this design was inspired by the Ram boba, the style of the skirt, and we did we used the Oleku sort of concept where you have the short boba and short hero, but we've done it as up and down in this one. Yeah.
Wow, this is lovely.
Thank you.
Right now, if someone wants to buy the dolls, where can they find them?
We're at Game, all Game stores nationwide.
Okay.
We are going back to we're in ShopRite at some point in time, but we're going back into ShopRite.
Okay.
We're at Quintessence.
Okay.
We're at the duty-free store at the international airport, and we have been on Jumia and Konga. We are reopening our online stores with them again. Okay. So just to make it available,
I think Jumia and Konga would great because anyone can buy from anywhere in Nigeria.
Yes, initially when we were with them, they were focused more in Lagos, but now they've opened up and they're able to do more. So that way, people all over Nigeria can buy. Yes.
Wow! Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm really, really happy. I'm really excited about this startup, and it's something. Immediately I saw it, I was like, "Wow! I need to bring these people on the show," because it's black, it's Nigerian, and I could see a doll that looks exactly like me. So thank you for all the education and trying to put Nigerian on the big news.
Thank you. What I say to people is that, somebody are like, so why are your dolls so special or different? You're not the first person to make black dolls. Yeah. But you see, when you have foreigners making black dolls on your behalf, then, they're not going to capture the essence. It's not just about the color. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about my dolls. It's not just the fact that they're black or the color. There's an essence of the African essence that is captured in every creation, and I'm able to do that because I'm African. I've lived in Nigeria for most of my life. So it's like, who else is in a position to capture it? Yeah. So that's why I say we're not just another black doll. No. Yeah. We're unique and we're different.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed all the dolls, and I hope you're buying it for your kids, for your brothers, nieces, nephews, and every child around you. Thank you so much. And if you're watching on YouTube, please kindly subscribe. If you're watching on our Facebook page, like and share. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet. If you're watching on our web TV, please subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you. Until next week. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.